The ship came back, but the people did not. In 1872, a vessel was found drifting alone in the Atlantic Ocean. The cargo was still there. The crew's belongings were still there. The captain's papers were still on board, but every person had vanished. No bodies, no blood, no distress call. 10 people were gone, including a captain, his wife, and their young daughter. The ship's name was the Mary Celeste, and more than 150 years later, nobody knows why they left it. The Mary Celeste had sailed from New York weeks earlier. Her destination was Genoa, Italy. Her cargo was industrial alcohol. Her captain was Benjamin Briggs. With him were his wife, Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia, and a small crew, 10 people in total. It should have been an ordinary voyage. But somewhere in the Atlantic, something happened. Days later, another ship named the Dei Gratia spotted the Mary Celeste drifting in the distance. At first, it looked normal. The sails were still up. The ship was still moving, but something felt wrong. There was no one on deck. No one answered. No one signaled. The ship just moved silently through the waves. A ship at sea is never truly quiet. Wood creaks. Ropes snap. Men shout. Footsteps cross the deck, but this ship was silent. Too silent. The crew of the Dei Gratia came closer. They called out. No answer. They watched the deck. No movement. Then a small boarding party climbed onto the Mary Celeste. They expected to find death, disease, violence, maybe a captain too weak to speak.
Nothing here, sir.
But what they found was worse. The ship was empty, not wrecked, not burned, not destroyed, just empty. The deck was abandoned, the cabins were silent, the people were gone. Inside, the mystery became even darker. The crew's personal belongings were still on board. The captain's papers remained. Food supplies were still there. Much of the cargo was untouched. There was no sign of a massacre. No blood on the floor, no bodies in the cabins, no final message. It was as if everyone had stopped what they were doing and walked into the sea. The captain was gone. His wife was gone. Their little daughter was gone. Every crew member was gone. But the ship was still floating. That is what made the Mary Celeste so disturbing. If the ship was still alive, why did the people abandon it? The lifeboat was missing. Some equipment had been disturbed. A few hatches were open. Water had entered the ship, but not enough to sink her. She was damaged, yes, but she was still seaworthy. So why would an experienced captain take his wife, his child, and his crew off a ship that could still sail? One theory points to the cargo. The Mary Celeste was carrying barrels of alcohol. Some barrels were later found empty or leaking. If fumes built up inside the hold, Captain Briggs may have feared an explosion. Maybe he ordered everyone into the lifeboat for safety. Just for a few minutes, just until the danger passed. But the Atlantic does not forgive small mistakes. If the rope holding the lifeboat to the ship broke, the Mary Celeste could have drifted away, fast. The people would have watched their only shelter disappear into the fog. The ship would keep sailing, and they would be left behind, alone, no shelter, no fresh water, no way home. Another theory says a sudden waterspout or violent sea disturbance terrified the crew. Maybe they thought the ship was sinking. Maybe the pumps gave a false reading. Maybe water in the hold made the danger look worse than it really was. In the middle of the ocean, with his wife and child aboard, Captain Briggs may have made one desperate decision. Leave the ship now. Live. Wait too long. Die. But if that decision was wrong, it killed everyone. And that is the horror of the Mary Celeste. Not a monster, not a ghost, not a curse, just one terrifying moment when 10 people may have stepped into a lifeboat and watched their ship drift away without them. Over the years, the legends grew darker. Pirates, mutiny, sea monsters, madness, a cursed ship. People wanted something dramatic, something supernatural. But the real story is colder than that. The Mary Celeste did not need a monster to become terrifying. The ocean was enough. Imagine standing on that deck, the wind moving through the ropes, the cabins empty, the captain's family missing, the lifeboat gone. The Atlantic stretching in every direction. No footprints, no screams, no answer. Only the sound of the ship still moving, after everyone who sailed on her had disappeared. The Mary Celeste was brought back, but the people were never found. Not the captain, not his wife, not their daughter, not one member of the crew. The ship returned to the world, empty, and whatever happened in those final hours, whatever made them leave, whatever they saw, whatever they feared, went down with the Atlantic. More than 150 years later, the Mary Celeste remains one of the darkest mysteries in maritime history. Because the question was never just, where did they go? The real question is, what could make 10 people abandon a ship and vanish forever?